Welcome to episode 32 of the Weekly Take Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Joseph, and today we're going to be discussing a lot of NBA things and, how the Raptors are doing, how the Bucs are doing, and how the Warriors swept the Blazers. We're going to be talking about the NFL, some NFL drama today, and also there's some good free agent signings that are, I think that are pretty going under the radar because, it's NBA season right now, and the all 2018, 2019 all NBA teams have been released, and I'm going to give you guys who I think was snubbed and very much more. And today we were actually sitting on a stool to help my posture a little bit, to be honest with you. Maybe it will help me out a little bit. I usually sit in like a regular chair, but today I'm on a stool up a little higher in the elevation, maybe get a little better air up here. I think that's how it goes, except I think when you're in a mountain higher up, you don't really get that much air. But let's jump right into it about the NBA news, and then we will get into Bucs Game 5 and who I think is going to win. And furthermore, Warriors sweep Blazers 4-0. They didn't gentlemen sweep them. They just straight up swept the Blazers. Sorry, Blazers. You guys couldn't really keep up with the Warriors. The Warriors have a fantastic team. They look like a well-oiled machine, like I've said on many other episodes. Steph Curry very well made them look better than they were, and it's just amazing to see that kind of basketball be played by the Warriors. Raptors go on to win 2 straight at home, both games in Toronto. And then we also got a lot of free agency contracts that are coming up, and 2 big names that come to mind when you think free agency is you got Giannis and then you got Kemba Walker. Both these players are setting themselves up to get paid. Kemba Walker is now eligible for the Supermax, which would be $221 million over 5 years. And do you pay Kemba $221 million? I would not pay Kemba Walker $221 million to stay in where he's at now. I would like to see him go somewhere else and take a little bit of a pay cut to see how much more potential he can have as a player. But, I mean, get your money, Kemba. That's the thing. But I would rather see him get paid less and go somewhere else as an NBA fan. But $221 million for 5 years, I don't know. If I was getting that much money, I'd be like, I'm staying too. I don't really care if I don't get a ring. Some guys who get rings, maybe have $1 million, that are just like the lower tier guys. And I think he wants to bring his organization to the forefront as Kemba Walker rather than go and join LeBron and LeBron get all the hype, or him go and join someone else. It would really be cool to see Kemba Walker go somewhere else though, as a fan. I really been a fan of this guy since he was at UConn, carrying that UConn team all the way to the championship. That was insane. It's cool. Giannis will be available for a 5-year, $247 million contract, and I believe this guy deserves every penny. Milwaukee should not let this guy walk. I don't think he will walk. He's one of those guys who seems like he's really loyal to his fan base, and he's even said that he plans to stay in Milwaukee forever. He likes the low market teams anyway, and I would like the low market teams too if they're paying me $247 million in the summer of 2020. So, yeah, that he'll be eligible for that in 2020, summer 2020. So not this summer, but he's very well, worth that money. He's carried the Milwaukee Bucks to the first seed in the East, and a lot of people like to say, well, LeBron's not there. Still, you got to get through the Bucs right now. You got to get through the Raptors, and that is very well the case in the Eastern Finals right now. Those two are playing each other, so those are the 2 big heads in the Eastern Conference this year. Karl Anthony Towns will miss out on a $32 million incentive, according to Bleacher Report, by not making an All-NBA team. We will get to the All-NBA teams in a second, but $32 million incentive, that's a lot. Like I play 2K, and I have an incentives on Foot Locker on the game that says if I get 20 points, I get a certain amount of points. And to see this much incentive, that's a lot of money going out the door. But, I feel like Karl Anthony Towns, obviously anyone would be upset about losing $32 million. Even if you are a millionaire, I feel like he's going to make up for it, and he's going to make Minnesota be proud of him next year. And he's definitely going to try to make an All-NBA team next year. I look at this, and I don't know how he didn't make it. We will get to that in a sec, though. CP3 has met with Mike D'Antoni about concerns on the offense. I don't blame the guy. The offense has been pretty stagnant lately. They've been producing, but Chris Paul, I think, is like, hey, what are we missing here? What is the recipe? Is it Clint Capella? Is it our bench? What do we need to do? And I think that's a good thing that CP3 is doing. James Harden could always use some more help. Chris Paul could always use some more help. They're only all getting older. And it's just, I think this was a good thing for CP3 to meet with the coach and respectfully do it instead of calling him out on Twitter like some people have done. Oh, well, I need the ball more. That never really solves the case. Drake's at NBA games. A lot of people, this is a big thing for a lot of people who like to get upset at something. I think people just want to be mad at something. Drake has been at all the Toronto games, and he sits courtside, and he recently went up to Nick Nurse, and he massaged his shoulders after a bad call or something, and everyone's like, he's a distraction, he's calling our players names, and it's like, you guys didn't have a problem with Drake when you were losing or when you were winning, so why are you having a big deal now since you're losing? Drake's just a big fan, and there's nothing wrong with him, showing his love. Yet he shouldn't be touching the coach and getting that into their faces, but at the same time, he's just a fan, and he just really loves the game of basketball, and I think everything's okay with it except for him going up to the coach. And I get he's Drake, and I get he's a big celebrity over there, and he's a superhero, but he's got to have some rules too. And who knows? Maybe he's paying a little bit extra to, massage the guy's shoulders. Maybe he invites him to some parties or whatever, Maybe that's something that Nick Nurse is cool with. If he's cool with it, then I don't really see a big problem with it, But Warriors say KD is unlikely for Game 1, and Boogie is DeMarcus Cousins, for those of you guys who do not know, and he's a center for the Golden State Warriors, and he's had an injury, and DeMarcus Cousins is likely to come back at some point too. If they get both these guys back in the finals, I don't see them losing. Right now, I don't even see them losing without them. The Warriors are, prohibitive favorites in the finals. For those of you guys who didn't know that, the Warriors will probably win the finals, but here's my hot take. They're not. The Warriors aren't winning because the Raptors are going to beat the Bucs in this series, and they're going to go on to beat the Warriors, and it is Raptors in 6. Yep. Weekly Take said it here first. Kawhi Leonard will beat the Warriors in 6 games, and, KD will come back one of those games to try to save them, and it's not going to work. Raptors in 6. This could be a freezing cold take here soon, but it could very well be some truth. So I'm going Raptors in 6 if they can get past the Bucs. So, moving into that, the thing is about this game, Game 4, here we go. Let's go into the Game 4 where the Raptors ended up beating the Bucs. The Raptors had a 47% shooting out of the field goal range. That's pretty good. They were shooting 34% from the 3. They're 88% on free throws. And, they beat Milwaukee in the rebound game. They had 10 offensive rebounds. They had 11 turnovers. Milwaukee had 12. And here's the thing, when I look at a team like this, Kawhi Leonard had 19. They had Danny Green, or Kyle Lowry had 25. Norman Powell had 18. Fred VanVleet had 13. Serge Ibaka had 17. Their bench was the reason they won this game. And, I look at Milwaukee. Giannis is doing his part. Chris Middleton's doing his part. And Brook Lopez even went in there and got 8 points, and it's just their bench was not a factor, and I think that was a big thing for Game 4 and why the Raptors ended up winning was their bench. Yes, Kawhi is still a little gimpy, but, he's going to put his heart out on the line, and he wants to win this series, better, I think, more than a lot of people think he does. And I think he's very well oiled for this, and he's ready for it, and Game 4 is a big testament to see how good the Raptors bench really is, and I think that is a reason why they are out there right now. So, how can the Bucs win Game 5? How can they respond after these 2 losses in Toronto back-to-back? Bucs need to stop the Raptors bench. That is the first thing they need to stop. You can let Kawhi, you can let Siakam, you can let Ibaka, you can let Danny Green, Marc Gasol get their money, but you cannot let people like Powell, VanVleet, and you can't let who's another? Yeah, you can't let these guys come in and just score that much on you. And Danny Green only had 4. What's to say Danny Green had more points? They need to stop those role players on the Raptors. They need to limit Kawhi. They need to get offensive rebounds. They need to, use that their wingspans to their advantage. Milwaukee has one of the biggest wingspan averages in the league. I think after Thon Maker left, they do not no longer have the longest wingspan in the league, but obviously it doesn't really hurt them. They're the number 1 seed. They need to limit their turnovers and stay out of foul trouble. The Bucs need to stay out of foul trouble if they want to beat the Raptors. Giannis can't be fouling out in overtime. I know that was in Game 3, but this cannot be a big factor for them. They have to make sure they play smart defense. If a breakaway layup's coming up and they're down by 3, they got to let the guy go just to keep Giannis in. You can't go in there and foul the guy because at the end of the game, they're going to need their captain, and it's a big thing to see that the Bucs also were in the game even after Giannis left. That shows how great their team is overall. Giannis is a huge part of why they are there, but to see that they have a team that is willing to compete with the Raptors even when they were out in Game 3, it really shows how well everyone is playing well around them. And Brook Lopez hasn't scored 29 since Game 2, so maybe that will come back. But for all my Raptor fans out there, how can the Raptors win Game 5 and keep this momentum going? They got to limit Eric Bledsoe. They got to limit George Hill, limit George Lopez. Can't let this guy score 29 again. Let Giannis, beat you. If you're going to let anyone beat you, let one player beat you. Don't let all these guys have, a good game. You can let Giannis have a good game, but then you got to let everyone else around him beat you. Get Giannis in foul trouble. The bench needs to keep scoring. You got to get Ibaka involved. You got to get him involved early. Win the rebound game. Defensive stops. Make your free throws. These are all basic, things that could be said for any NBA team if they want to win. But these are the biggest things I think that the Raptors need to do to stop the Bucs. Again, limit their role players. Make Giannis beat you. Get Giannis in foul trouble. The bench needs to keep scoring. Get Ibaka involved early. Win the rebound game and defensive stops. Maybe take a couple big charges on Giannis. Make your bench go in there and, have those guys just go in there and get in the books. Take a charge. Get Giannis that one extra foul. He's going to have to start playing a little more cautious on defense. It's just, you get in their head involved early. You're going to be in Milwaukee. They're going to be loud, but you got to establish that soon. So that is how I think, the Raptors. I'm rooting for the Raptors, but I really think that's how they're going to be able to do it. So before we get into the NFL, let's talk about the 2018-2019 All-NBA teams. So for the first team, we have Giannis from Milwaukee, James Harden from Houston, Steph Curry from Golden State. His name is Wardell Curry. His first name is Wardell Curry. For those of you guys who don't know that, this is a Weekly Take, giving you guys a fact. Wardell Curry is his first name. Steph is actually his middle name. But he goes by Steph, in the NBA. Paul George from Oklahoma City. And then Jokic from Denver. Nikola Jokic from Denver. He's the center. So I don't really disagree with the NBA first team. I think they did a really good job. And to criticize anyone, I think I would put Joel Embiid in front of Jokic on the first team. But to see, how he was able to carry the Denver Nuggets to that far was pretty cool. But Joel Embiid did too. And I think, actually, I would put Joel Embiid in the NBA first team over Jokic. So for the NBA second team, we got Joel Embiid from Philadelphia, Kevin Durant from Golden State, Damian Lillard from Portland, Kawhi Leonard from Toronto, and Kyrie Irving from Boston. I wouldn't even put Kyrie Irving here. I would arguably I don't even know if he would make the All-NBA team at all, man. I didn't like what I saw from Kyrie Irving. I would put Westbrook. I'd switch him because he's an All-NBA third team. So, the only disagreements I have, I think, would be Kyrie Irving in that position. All-NBA third team, we got Russell Westbrook from Oklahoma City, Blake Griffin from Detroit, LeBron James from the LA Lakers, Rudy Gobert from Utah, and Kemba Walker from Charlotte. I think the All-NBA third team is essentially perfect. Except for I would put Kyrie in the third team and Russ in the second team. And I don't know if I would even put Blake Griffin in the All-NBA third team. I think it's just because, I don't really like Blake Griffin, but I do respect the fact that he has changed his game for Detroit, and I like that about him. But I don't know if it was All-NBA third team worthy, but that's my opinion. I'm pretty sure he's a cool guy in person, but I've always been kind of biased towards him, so ignore that for all my Blake Griffin fans. So then let's go into the All-NBA defensive teams. So for the first one, we got Giannis, Eric Bledsoe, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, and Marcus Smart. Okay, I could name probably 5 other players that would be a better candidate than Marcus Smart on the defensive team. I'm sorry, Boston. I know I hate on you guys a lot. Drew Holiday, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid. All I think would be a better player than Marcus Smart. I'm sorry, but that's the all defensive second team, the guys I just listed. I think all those guys are better than Marcus Smart on defense, and I don't really agree with the All-NBA first team. I do believe Giannis plays really good defense. I do believe Bledsoe plays good defense. Paul George is a lockup defender. Rudy Gobert is as well. I'd probably put Joel Embiid in front of Gobert too, and I would put Kawhi Leonard above Marcus Smart. What are we joking here? I get Paul George takes the 3 spot from Paul George, but you could have 2 forwards in that position. I guess they have Giannis and George. I guess I'm kind of rambling now, but no, man, I'm not putting Marcus Smart in the all first defensive team. I'm sorry, Marcus Smart. Sure you're a cool guy, and I know I've said that to a lot of people, but I'm not putting you there. As an NBA fan, I don't know everything though. I could be missing a lot of tapes that this guy's done some great plays, and I'm probably missing them. But let's get into the NFL side of things before we wrap up this show. We got Le'Veon Bell supports Gase. I know last week we talked about all the drama. Gase wanted to trade Le'Veon, and he said, why would I do that? It's all this drama stuff. Gase is either the coach or the owner from the Jets. I'm sorry, I don't know that right off the top of my head. But they're broing out now. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm excited. They're back in it, so no hard feelings, I guess. LaShawn McCoy is getting serious interest from around the league. This is a big thing for him. I think it's No, not LaShawn McCoy. It is Gerald McCoy is getting serious interest from the league. He's a great defensive tackle, and I think he deserves to be signed. I don't know why the Bucs got rid of him. And that goes into the next thing. Ndamukong Suh signs with the Bucs, so they let go of their veteran defensive tackle and then bring in a toxic defensive tackle from the Rams. And we all know what Ndamukong Suh is like. He steps on people. He's just, I guess that's his game, but I don't get why you would cut a guy who's been on your team for a long time and get Ndamukong Suh. I don't see it. I don't get it. Goodell speaks on Tyreek Hill. I didn't listen to the speech. I just saw this headline, and I think that's going to be good. Tyreek Hill is getting away with a lot of, or not getting away, but he's kind of getting a slap on the wrist, and I think it's good that the NFL is suspending him for these type of things, and I hope this guy gets the help he needs. It's just, I don't know. It's just it's a big gray area. I'm not going to really get into the politics of what he did and what he didn't do, but it's cool to see that the league is making, addresses to this type of thing. And then pass interferences are now to be reviewable. I think this is a huge thing. Goes for the Saints fans in that, that Rams game. That was a big call that could have went 2 ways. And, I think this will be a big instrument for 2019-2020 season for the NFL. I think will be great. And then finally, Julian Edelman, 3-time Super Bowl champ and the MVP of the last Super Bowl, has signed a 2-year contract up to $19 million in new money, sources told by ESPN. So Julian Edelman, I think this is a good signing for New England. I don't know why they wouldn't sign this guy in the first place. He's proved himself, but he's also gotten some trouble last year with some PEDs, I believe, or substance abuses. So hopefully he doesn't do that again for the Patriots. Again, this has been episode 32 of the Weekly Take Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Joseph, and if you guys have any other questions, anything you guys ever want to talk about on this show, have me talk about sports related, please let me know. I would love to talk about whatever you guys want to listen to, high school sports, college sports, baseball, hockey, whatever you guys want to start listening to. I'll start giving you guys my takes. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on them, but I will definitely give you guys my insight and what I believe in. This has been a Weekly Take, and this is my overview for those of you guys who want to see. I got actually 4 pieces of paper today. Again, today is May 23rd, 2019, 2:13 p.m., 2 hours before the premiere. Weekly Take at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Have a great one.